I don't know if I'm on live, you guys, but something is very strange about this new Facebook Live stuff. So it seems like it's counting down now. So I'm going to start over again because I don't know if I was on before. So, hi, Nancy Mader, Director of the Link Center and Transition Projects for the Federation for Children with Special Needs. I'm sorry if you were watching before and I cut it off and you were into it, but I'll start over. So today I'm talking about adult service agencies. I'm not going to go into detail. I want you to just get some basic information here. I'm going to put some links in the comments when I'm done filming, if I'm filming at all right now. We used to be able to see some details, but I'm going to keep going. So for adult service agencies, such as the Department of Developmental Services, or DDS, Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission, or MRC, Department of Mental Health, or DMH, these agencies you have to apply for. They're eligibility based. I see something, I'm on. So you have to apply for them. They're eligibility based. You have to supply documentation on why you think your young person needs this service when they leave or exit high school. So for DDS, it serves individuals who have intellectual disabilities, developmental disabilities, autism, and they also serve individuals with autism who do not have intellectual disabilities. If you have a young person who has children or youth services through DDS, they have to reapply for services as adults. So DDS Adult Services is an entirely new application, and services for DDS for children and youth does not determine eligibility for them as an adult. So you might not get services for them when they are an adult. So I just want to put that out there, just an FYI. So when you do an application for any of these agencies, make copies of it. Make copies of the medical documentation, of the psych reports, any of the documentation that you are turning into that agency. Make copies of the application, make copies of that documentation. So when you send it in, if something happens to it, gets lost in the mail, gets lost when it goes to that agency, you don't have to do all of that work all over again. I've talked to so many families who didn't make copies, who they called to make sure that their application went in, and they had to start all over again. Luckily, sometimes the school has a lot of those copies, and there wasn't an immense amount of work, but it was still starting over, and it's so daunting. The Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission is a rehabilitation services. It is not a lifelong service, but it is a service that you can use throughout your life over and over again. There's not a cap on it. It is eligibility based. It is for individuals who want to go to work, and that is competitive integrated employment. So Mass Rehab will help you get a job. You'll help your student get a job. They will help them settle into that job, provide maybe some supports, like maybe a minimum amount of job coaching, checking in on them, meeting their boss, understanding what their job is, but they're not going to be there for, years helping someone, supporting them in that job. So that is somewhere where DDS and Mass Rehab might be able to work together. So Mass Rehab maybe gets that young person a job, gets that adult a job, and DDS can maybe then help support them in that job. So some of the agencies can work together in that way. But Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission, MRC, is for work. They also do some things around independent living, which I don't think a lot of people know about. So they run the independent living centers throughout the state, which I believe there are 10 or 11 independent living centers, and they're fantastic. They are free. They are for anyone who identifies as having a disability. So you can go in, you can get transition to adulthood services. They run programs to help young people get work experience. They have social things going on, some counseling, some of them. So they're all different, and they are free, and they're wonderful. I'm always referring people to the independent living centers. So those are run under Mass Rehab. They also help people live independently with assistive technology. So, look into Mass Rehab if you have someone who wants to work, wants to live independently, and see if your young person might be eligible for that. for that. So again, Mass Rehab, DDS can work together, both eligibility based. The next program I want to talk to you about, or the agency, is the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health. So this DMH is also a rehabilitative agency. They are not designed to provide lifelong supports. They do have individuals who they have under their system lifelong, but the intention is to rehabilitate people who have very significant mental health issues and help them to become independent, provide them with services and supports around them so they can maybe not need DMH services. So DMH can also work with the other agencies. So, but these are, you have to think about with your student, which agency will fit their primary disability. So if you have a student on an IEP, you talk with the IEP team and you think about their lifelong needs, what they're going to need, once they leave high school, and which agency will best support them. So I'm going to put links into the comments. So there's all, and you can decide which one is going to be the main organization or agency for your student. There's also the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind, which is a fantastic organization, and they're kind of nuts and bolts. So they can help with, work and social services and all of those things for individuals who are legally blind or extremely visually impaired. There's a Massachusetts Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing as well, which is similar to the Commission for the Blind. So those are very agencies specifically for those two categories of disabilities. So if you have an individual who, it has a developmental disability who will need lifelong supports, DDS is most likely going to be the agency that you apply to. If you have a young person who graduates from high school with their high school diploma, most likely is not going to receive services from DDS, then MRC might be the organization that helps them go to college, get a job afterwards, and supply some supports around them, or assistive technology, and then backs out. If you have a young person who has a mental health, mental health is their primary disability, their primary barrier, what they need the most support around, applying to DMH. And then Mass Rehab can support some of those other agencies. If you have someone who receives services from DMH, Mass Rehab can also help them get a job and they can work together. Same with DDS. Mass Rehab can help that young person get a job and work together with DDS to help them keep it. And then DDS, helps them keep it for a longer time. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought when everything fell apart with my first live stream. But think about adult agencies. You always have to apply. Application for all of them, eligibility for all of them. Check on that application, make sure they got it, make copies of it. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you? They're all based on budgets. They're all based on needs. So keep that in mind. You're not going to get everything that you want or think your young person or adult needs, but you have to prioritize what services you think are best for them. And you need to also, find other community supports that might, fill up what can't be done around them through the adult agency, because they are limited by budgets and they serve a lot of people. And their counselors within those agencies have large caseloads, and we need to remember that. Also, squeaky wheel gets the oil, so you can't apply for services at Mass Rehab and not contact your counselor. So anyway, I'm getting off track. So think about which agency you want to look into, which agency you think is going to be the best for your young person when they leave high school, and start, I want you to start looking into them, investigating which one will fit best, and talking to your young person about it. So thanks so much. Sorry I'm so disarrayed today. Hope everyone's enjoying the nicer weather, and I'll see you next week.